The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was never meant to hold so much fear. The massive dome stretched high above, filled with floating seats for delegates from across the galaxy. Today, those seats buzzed with panic. Alien voices mixed together, in dozens of languages, all saying the same thing. They were losing the war. Speaker Veltar stood at the center of the hall. His crystal body caught the light from the dome above, sending rainbow colors across the worried faces around him. The Helix people were known for staying calm, but today even Veltar's voice shook. "The Kepler defense line has fallen," he announced. The hall went quiet. 12 star systems, gone in 4 days. A ripple of terror ran through the crowd. The Kepler line was supposed to be impossible to break. Millions of soldiers, hundreds of warships, energy shields that could stop anything. All of it had been destroyed by the Vorthak in less than a week. "How many ships did we lose?" asked General Thixara, her insect-like arms clicking nervously. The Zephyrian military leader had seen many battles, but nothing like this. "All of them," Veltar said quietly. "Every single ship at Kepler is gone." The silence that followed was heavy. Admiral Park Dae-ho watched from the human section, his weathered face showing no emotion. He had gray hair and scars from old battles, but his eyes were sharp. Next to him sat Ambassador Choi Kyung-soo, Earth's representative to the Council. "The Vorthak bioships are unlike anything we have faced," continued Veltar. "They heal themselves. They learn from our attacks. Every time we hit them with energy weapons, they grow stronger." A hologram appeared in the center of the hall. It showed a Vorthak bioship, a twisted mass of living metal and flesh the size of a small moon. Tentacles writhed around its hull. Strange organs pulsed with dark light. It looked more like a deep-sea monster than a spaceship. "Their ships are alive," explained Dr. Kethamore, the Council's chief scientist. "They have nervous systems spread throughout their hulls. When we damage one part, the whole ship learns to resist that type of attack." "What about nuclear weapons?" asked someone from the back. "Tried. The bioships absorbed the radiation and used it to grow stronger." "Plasma cannons?" "They adapted after the first few hits. Now their skin just drinks up plasma energy." "Gravity bombs?" "Same result. They learn. They adapt. They become immune." Fear filled the hall like smoke. For 1,000 years, the galaxy had known peace. Different species had their problems, but they solved them with talk, trade, and sometimes small wars that lasted only a few months. Nobody was ready for something like the Vorthak. The Vorthak had come from beyond the galaxy's edge 3 years ago. At first, people thought they were just another new species looking for a home. The galaxy had room for everyone. But the Vorthak did not want to share. They wanted to consume. Their first attack hit the border worlds, small colonies with weak defenses. The local fleets responded with standard tactics: energy shields, laser cannons, ion torpedoes. It should have been enough to stop any invader. But the Vorthak ships ate the energy weapons like food. They grew bigger and stronger with each attack. Then they started shooting back with weapons that turned matter into soup. Entire planets died in hours. "The pattern is clear," said Veltar, bringing up a star map. Red dots showed Vorthak conquests. They formed a line straight toward the galaxy's heart. They are moving toward the core worlds. At their current speed, they will reach them in 6 months. The core worlds held billions of people, the galaxy's greatest cities, centers of art, science, and culture built over thousands of years. If the Vorthak reached them, galactic civilization would end. "What are our options?" asked Admiral Zoseth of the Rigel fleet. "Evacuation," said Veltar. "We could move the core world populations to the far rim, set up new colonies beyond Vorthak reach." "Impossible," clicked General Thixara. "We do not have enough ships to move that many people, and where would they go? The rim worlds cannot support billions of refugees." "Then we fight," said Admiral Zoseth. "Gather every fleet in the galaxy, attack them all at once." "With what?" Dr. Kethmore asked bitterly. "Every weapon we have only makes them stronger. We could throw 1,000,000 ships at them and only feed their growth." The argument went around and around. Some wanted to run. Others wanted to fight. All of them knew that neither plan would work. The Vorthak were simply too strong, too adaptable, too alien for normal tactics. That was when Ambassador Choi stood up. The hall slowly went quiet. Humans were new to the galactic community, less than 100 years since first contact. Most species saw them as primitive. They still used chemical rockets when they first reached space. Their computers were barely smart enough to run a coffee machine. They had not even discovered energy weapons when the galaxy found them. The Terran Federation offers military assistance, Choi said calmly. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then the laughter started. It began with General Thixara's clicking laugh, then Admiral Zosith's booming chuckle. Soon the whole hall was laughing. Not mean laughter, more like adults watching a child offer to help move furniture. "That is kind of you," said Veltar carefully. "But humans lack the technology needed for this fight. Your ships have no energy shields. Your weapons fire simple metal bullets. Against Vorthak bioarmor, such primitive tools would be useless." Admiral Park watched the laughter with calm eyes. He had expected this reaction. Humans always got this reaction from aliens. Too young, too primitive, too aggressive. Not ready for real galactic problems. But Park remembered his history. He remembered stories his grandfather told about World War II, about smaller armies beating larger ones through surprise and new tactics, about underdogs who won because nobody expected them to fight smart. "Your kinetic weapons cannot penetrate bioarmor," said Dr. Kethmore, not unkindly. "The math simply does not work. Metal projectiles lack the energy density to cause meaningful damage." Choi nodded politely. "Perhaps you are right. But we would still like to try." More laughter rippled through the hall. Admiral Park stood up, beside his ambassador. His voice was quiet but carried clearly through the dome. "We understand your concerns," Park said. "Human technology does seem primitive compared to what you have achieved. But sometimes primitive methods work when advanced ones fail." "How so?" asked Veltar. Park smiled slightly. "A rock can break a window that stops a laser beam." The laughter died down. Some delegates looked thoughtful. Others shook their heads. The idea was crazy. Humans fighting with metal bullets against living ships that ate energy? It was like bringing sticks to fight dragons, but Veltar was desperate. The Council was desperate. The whole galaxy was desperate. "What exactly are you proposing?" Veltar asked. "Give us coordinates for the Vorthak fleet," said Choi. "Let us try our methods. If we fail, you lose nothing. If we succeed—" He shrugged. "Maybe primitive has advantages." The Council voted quickly. Some voted yes because they were curious. Others voted yes because they had no other options. Few voted no, thinking it was cruel to send humans to die uselessly. But the yes votes won. "Very well," said Veltar. "The Vorthak main fleet is gathering at Sigma Draconis, 47 bioships, preparing for their final push to the core worlds. We will transmit coordinates to your fleet." "Thank you," said Choi. He bowed politely, then sat down. As the council session ended and delegates filed out, many stopped to offer condolences to the human ambassador. They meant well. They truly believed they were sending brave humans to pointless deaths. Admiral Park and Ambassador Choi walked together toward the human section's exit. Other delegates watched them go, whispering sadly about human courage and alien foolishness. "They think we are going to die," Choi said quietly. "Yes," Park agreed. "They have no idea what human engineering can do when we are properly motivated." "Will it work?" Park paused at the exit, looking back at the great dome where 1,000 species had just given up hope. His scarred face showed the first real smile of the day. "Ambassador," he said, "they adapted to fight energy weapons. They learned to eat lasers and plasma. But they have never faced a species that perfected the art of throwing rocks really, really hard." As they left the council hall, neither human saw the small recording device that had captured their conversation. Within hours, that recording would be transmitted across the galaxy. And in the depths of space, something vast and hungry would hear it and laugh with the sound of grinding bones. The Vorthak were waiting. The human fleet moved through space like a pack of wolves, 12 ships against 47 alien monsters. The numbers looked hopeless. But Admiral Park Dae-ho stood on the bridge of his flagship Terra's Wrath with the confidence of a man who knew secrets. The war room was crowded but organized. Captain Kim Hana stood beside a large holographic display, her fingers dancing over control panels. She was young for a captain, but her mind worked like a computer when it came to space battles. Lieutenant Lee Tae-min sat at a weapons console, checking and rechecking his systems. He was barely 25, but he knew more about human weapons than anyone else in the fleet. Commander Yoon Minji paced near the intelligence station. Her job was to know everything about the enemy. She had studied Vorthak bioships for months, learning their weaknesses and strengths. Today, all that study would be tested. "Report," said Admiral Park as he entered the room. "We are 6 hours from Sigma Draconis," said Captain Kim. "All ships report ready for battle. Weapons are loaded, engines are running hot, and crews are at battle stations." Park nodded and walked to the center of the room. The holographic display showed their fleet, 12 small ships moving toward a system filled with alien nightmares. To most people, it would look like suicide. To Park, it looked like opportunity. "Gentlemen, ladies," Park began, "let me explain why we are going to win this fight." He touched a control panel. The display changed to show typical galactic weapons: energy cannons, plasma torpedoes, laser arrays. Bright, clean, efficient. The kind of weapons that civilized species use to fight civilized wars. For 1,000 years, every species in this galaxy has fought the same way. Park continued. Energy shields to block attacks. Energy weapons to break shields. It is elegant. It is predictable. And it is exactly what the Vorthak learned to defeat. Another touch brought up images of Vorthak bioships, the twisted living hulls that could adapt to any energy attack. Ships that grew stronger when shot with lasers or plasma. "The Vorthak are perfect predators," said Commander Yoon. "Their bioarmor can absorb energy and use it to heal. Their nervous systems learn from every attack. Hit them with a laser, and they develop resistance to lasers. Hit them with plasma, and they grow immune to plasma." "But," said Park with a slight smile, "they adapted to fight civilizations that follow galactic rules. We never learned those rules." The display changed. Again. Now it showed human weapons. They looked crude compared to alien energy guns. Simple metal tubes that fired pieces of metal. No bright lights, no exotic energy, just mass and velocity. "We never abandoned kinetic warfare," explained Lieutenant Lee. "While other species developed energy weapons, we kept making better ways to throw things really fast." Captain Kim pulled up technical specifications. "Our main guns are magnetic accelerators, railguns. They use powerful electromagnets to launch metal projectiles at incredible speeds. No energy beam to absorb, no plasma to adapt to, just a piece of tungsten moving at 12% of light speed." The room fell quiet as everyone did the math in their heads. Anything moving that fast carried enormous kinetic energy. When it hit something, all that energy had to go somewhere. "How much damage are we talking about?" asked Commander Yoon. "A single tungsten rod from our main gun carries the same energy as a small nuclear bomb," Lee answered. "But instead of spreading that energy over a large area, it concentrates everything into a point smaller than your fist." Park walked around the display, pointing out different human ships. The Seoul's Fire and Busan Thunder are heavy cruisers. Each one carries 4 magnetic accelerators. Our destroyers, Incheon, Daegu, Gwangju, and Ulsan, have smaller guns but higher rates of fire. The frigates carry cluster weapons. "Cluster weapons?" asked Kim. "Each shell contains thousands of smaller projectiles," explained Lee. "They spread out into a cloud of death, perfect for hitting large targets that cannot dodge." Commander Yoon brought up intelligence data on Vorthak ships. "The bioships are huge but slow. Their living hulls are tough, but they have weak points. The nerve clusters that control adaptation are spread throughout the ship. If we can hit multiple clusters at the same time, we might overwhelm their ability to adapt." Park nodded approvingly. "That brings us to our main advantage: coordination. Galactic fleets fight like medieval knights. Each ship battles alone, trying to prove individual strength. We fight like a pack. The display showed human tactical formations. The ships moved together in complex patterns, supporting each other, concentrating fire on single targets. We will hit them from multiple directions at the same time, said Captain Kim. While they are trying to adapt to attacks from the front, we hit them from behind. While they are healing damage on the left side, we target the right side. What about their weapons? Asked Yoon. Intelligence says they can turn matter into liquid. How do we defend against that? Speed, said Park simply. Their bioships are big and powerful, but they turn slowly. Our ships are small and fast. We stay at long range, hit hard, and move before they can shoot back. Lieutenant Lee brought up ammunition specifications. The variety was impressive. Tungsten penetrators, depleted uranium rounds, shaped charge warheads, and something called Project Sledgehammer. What is Project Sledgehammer? Asked Kim. Lee grinned. It was the excited smile of a young man who loved his job. Antimatter-tipped kinetic kill vehicle. It travels at 25% of light speed. When it hits, the antimatter annihilates with normal matter. The explosion... He paused dramatically. Let's just say it makes a very big boom. How big? Pressed Yoon. Remember the star that went nova in the Centauri system last year? About half that bright. The room went silent. That kind of power could crack a planet in half. We only have one sledgehammer round, warned Park. Save it for their biggest ship. Captain Kim studied the tactical displays. I understand the weapons, but what about strategy? How do we coordinate attacks across millions of kilometers of space? Quantum communication, said Lee. Instantaneous data sharing between all ships. When one ship targets an enemy, every other ship knows immediately. We can time our attacks down to the microsecond. Commander Yoon pulled up the fleet roster. Each ship had a crew of specialists who had trained together for years. Unlike galactic fleets that mixed different species with different tactics, the human fleet worked as one mind. The Terra's Wrath will coordinate overall strategy, explained Park. Captain Kim will manage tactical deployment. Lieutenant Lee will handle weapons coordination. Commander Yoon will analyze enemy responses and suggest counter-tactics. What about the other ships? And asked Kim. Each captain has full authority to adapt tactics as needed. We train together, but we do not fight by rigid rules. When the battle starts, every captain becomes a hunter. The display zoomed out to show the Sigma Draconis system. Sensors showed the Vorthak fleet gathering around the system's inhabited worlds. 47 bioships, each the size of a small moon, preparing to devour another civilization. They are using the planets as shields, observed Yoon. If we attack directly, innocent people will die in the crossfire. Then we do not attack directly, said Park. We draw them away from the planets, make them come to us. How? Park's smile was not pleasant. We make them angry, hurt their pride, challenge their superiority. Predators like the Vorthak cannot resist proving their dominance. Lieutenant Lee checked his weapons systems one final time. All guns report ready, ammunition loaded, targeting computers online. Captain Kim reviewed the tactical plan. Fleet formation looks good. Each ship knows its role. Communication systems are working perfectly. Commander Yoon finished her intelligence briefing. Enemy positions confirmed. 47 bioships in 3 groups. The largest group has their command ship, something they call the Prime Devourer. Admiral. Park looked around the room at his senior staff. These were the people who would help him win an impossible battle. A young captain with a genius for tactics. A brilliant weapons officer who treated destruction like art. An intelligence commander who knew the enemy better than they knew themselves. Any questions? Park asked. Just one, said Captain Kim. The galaxy thinks we are going to die. Do you really believe we can win? Park walked to the main viewport. Outside, stars wheeled slowly as the fleet moved toward battle. Somewhere ahead, alien monsters waited with weapons that could destroy worlds. Captain, he said quietly, the Vorthak have spent 3 years learning to fight energy weapons. They have adapted to every type of attack the galaxy could throw at them. But they have never faced a species that spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war. He turned back to face his officers. They are about to learn why humans do not start fights. We finish them. An alarm chimed softly. The fleet was approaching the edge of the Sigma Draconis system. Sensor screens lit up with contacts. Massive. Bioships moving between the planets like living asteroids. All hands battle stations, announced Park over the ship's communication system. Today we show the galaxy what human warfare looks like. The hunt was about to begin. The Vorthak detected the human fleet when it was still 2 million kilometers away. To the alien bioships, the approaching vessels looked like toys, 12 tiny metal specks against 47 living mountains. The response came quickly. Laughter that sounded like bones being crushed. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of Terra's Wrath watching his sensor screens. The Vorthak fleet was spread across the Sigma Draconis system like a disease. Their bioships hung in space near the inhabited planets, feeding off radiation from the local star. Each ship pulsed with unnatural life, tentacles writhing around hulls the size of cities. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. "The Vorthak are hailing us." "Put it on screen," ordered Park. The main display flickered, then showed something that made several bridge crew members step back in fear. The Vorthak commander was a nightmare made flesh, a twisted mass of living metal and organic tissue. Eyes like burning coals stared out from a face that constantly shifted and changed. When it spoke, the voice was like grinding machinery. "Insignificant mammals," the creature said. "Retreat or face consumption. Your primitive vessels cannot harm us. We are the Vorthak. We have devoured civilizations that spanned galaxies. Your weapons are toys compared to our power." Admiral Park stepped forward. His weathered face showed no fear, only calm determination. "This is Admiral Park of the Terran Federation. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this system and return to wherever you came from." The sound that came from the Vorthak was worse than laughter. It was the noise a predator makes when it sees helpless prey. "Amusing little mammal. We have consumed species far more advanced than yours. Your metal bullets cannot penetrate our adaptive bioarmor. We will tear your ships apart and use your atoms to feed our young." "We will see," Park said quietly, then cut the transmission. Captain Kim moved to the tactical station. "All ships report ready for combat. Fleet Formation Alpha is in position. Target solutions locked and loaded." Lieutenant Lee checked his weapons board. Every light showed green. "Main guns are hot. Ammunition feeds are clear. Project Sledgehammer is armed and ready." Commander Yoon studied the enemy formation. "They are not taking us seriously. The bioships are staying in loose formation around the planets. No battle formation, no coordinated movement. They think this will be easy." Park nodded. "Good. Overconfidence is our first advantage. Begin attack pattern, Striker." The human fleet split into 3 groups. Seoul's Fire and Busan Thunder moved to high positions above the system plane. The destroyers spread out in a wide arc, taking flanking positions. The frigates dropped below the system plane, coming up from underneath. "Maximum range engagement," ordered Park. "Target the smallest bioship first. Let them see what our weapons can do." Seoul's Fire was the first to fire. Her main railgun charged with a sound like thunder. Magnetic coils along the barrel glowed, white-hot as they accelerated a tungsten rod to 12% of light speed. The projectile was invisible, just a piece of metal the size of a telephone pole moving faster than anything the Vorthak had ever seen. The target was a bioship called Flesh Render, about 3 kilometers long. Its living hull rippled with confidence. Vorthak bioarmor had never been penetrated by kinetic weapons. The aliens did not even try to dodge. The tungsten rod hit Flesh Render 33 seconds after being fired. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the bioship's hull exploded outward in a spray of organic debris. The projectile had punched completely through the ship, creating a tunnel of destruction from nose to tail. "Target hit," reported Captain Kim. "Complete penetration. Massive internal damage." The Vorthak fleet's reaction was immediate. Bioships that had been lazily drifting suddenly snapped to attention. Tentacles thrashed in space as the aliens tried to understand what had happened. How? The transmission came from the Prime Devourer, the largest Vorthak ship. Our bioarmor should have absorbed the impact. How did your primitive weapon penetrate our defenses? Park smiled grimly. You adapted to absorb energy. We never sent you any energy to absorb. The battle erupted across the system. Vorthak bioships began moving toward the human fleet, their living weapons charging for attack. But the humans were already gone, their ships dancing away at speeds the bioships could not match. Busan Thunder fired next, her railgun sending a depleted uranium penetrator into another bioship. The projectile hit with the force of a nuclear explosion, punching through armor that had stopped 1,000 energy weapons. The destroyers opened fire together, their smaller guns sending streams of tungsten darts at a bioship trying to flank them. Each dart was only the size of a pencil, but moving at tremendous speed. They struck like machine gun bullets fired by gods. Cluster munitions away, reported Lieutenant Lee as the frigates launched their special weapons. Each cluster shell contained 10,000 smaller projectiles that spread out in a deadly cloud. The Vorthak bioship Bone Grinder tried to use its tentacles to swat away the incoming projectiles, but there were too many. Thousands of impacts peppered its hull, each one small but adding up to devastating damage. The Vorthak tried to fight back. Their bioweapons fired streams of energy that could turn solid matter into liquid. But the human ships were small and fast, already moving before the alien weapons could lock on. Energy beams that should have destroyed the attackers instead hit empty space. They cannot target us, observed Commander Yoon. Their weapons are designed for large, slow targets. We are too small and too quick. Prime Devourer began broadcasting on all frequencies. Impossible. Our adaptation protocol should counter any attack. Why do your weapons continue to function? Park opened a channel to the entire Vorthak fleet. Because you adapted to fight civilizations that use energy. We use physics. You cannot adapt to the laws of physics. A bioship called World Eater tried a different approach. It accelerated directly toward Terra's wrath, planning to ram the human flagship. The living ship was huge and powerful, but it was also predictable. Target locked, reported Lee. Range 2 million kilometers and closing. Fire, ordered Park. Terra's Wrath's main gun spoke with the voice of thunder. The projectile was a shaped charge penetrator designed to punch through the thickest armor. It covered the distance in just over 6 seconds. World Eater tried to turn aside, but bioships do not change direction quickly. The penetrator struck directly in the ship's center mass. The shaped charge detonated after penetration, sending a jet of superheated metal through the bioship's core systems. The alien ship convulsed like a wounded animal. Its tentacles went rigid, then began to twitch randomly. Internal explosions lit up its hull from within. Within minutes, World Eater was dead in space, its biosystems shut down by catastrophic damage. 4 bioships destroyed, reported Kim. Enemy formation is breaking apart. They are trying to scatter. Do not let them, ordered Park. Pursuit. Formation. Stay with them. The human fleet split up, each group chasing different bioships. The aliens were faster in straight lines, but human ships could turn and accelerate better. It became a deadly game of cat and mouse played across millions of cubic kilometers. Incheon caught a fleeing bioship near the system's edge. Her rapid-fire railgun sent a stream of projectiles into the alien's engine section. Each hit caused more damage as the bioship's adaptation systems became overloaded. Daegu and Gwangju worked together to corner another bioship. They fired from opposite directions, their projectiles arriving at the same time. The Vorthak ship could not adapt to attacks coming from multiple angles simultaneously, but the largest prize was still waiting. Prime Devourer hung in the center of the system, surrounded by its most powerful bioships. The alien commander was no longer laughing. You fight without honor, it transmitted. True warriors face their enemies directly. You attack from shadows, like cowards. Park's response was broadcast across the galaxy. We do not fight for honor. We fight to win, and we fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Lieutenant Lee turned to his admiral. Sir, should we deploy Project Sledgehammer? Park looked at the tactical display. 15 bioships remained, clustered around their command ship. The moment had come to show the galaxy what human weapons could really do. Target Prime Devourer, Park ordered. Full power. Let them see what happens when you threaten human space. The special launcher on Terra's Wrath, charged with a sound like a rising storm. Project Sledgehammer was not just a weapon, it was a statement, a declaration that humanity would not be conquered. Firing, announced Lee. The antimatter-tipped projectile left the ship at 25% of light speed. It covered the distance to Prime Devourer in less than 2 seconds. The impact created a flash of light visible from the next star system. When the light faded, the largest bioship in the Vorthak fleet was gone. Simply gone. Vaporized by the collision of matter and antimatter, the remaining bioships stopped fighting. For the first time in their species' history, the Vorthak felt something they had never experienced before. Fear. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. In the great council halls, on busy trade stations, in military academies on 1,000 worlds, the same impossible story was being told over and over. The Vorthak had been defeated. Not just stopped, completely crushed by a tiny human fleet using primitive weapons. Speaker Veltar stood in his private office, staring at battle recordings that made no sense. His crystal body flickered with confusion as he watched the data streams again and again. Vorthak bioships that had eaten entire fleets were being destroyed by simple metal projectiles. How is this possible? He asked the air, knowing no one could answer. His communication system chimed. Emergency calls were coming in from across the galaxy. Military commanders, scientists, political leaders. Everyone wanted to understand what they had just witnessed. The first call was from General Thixara of the Zephyrian fleet. Her insect face filled the screen, compound eyes wide with disbelief. "Veltar, have you seen the battle recordings from Sigma Draconis?" She clicked rapidly. "The humans, they destroyed 15 bioships without losing a single vessel. How did they do it?" "I do not know," Veltar admitted. "Our best scientists are studying the data now. The human weapons appear to use pure kinetic energy. No exotic particles, no energy manipulation, just mass moving at incredible speeds." "But the math does not work," protested Thixara. "Kinetic weapons cannot carry enough energy to penetrate bioarmor. It is physically impossible." Veltar pulled up the technical analysis. "Apparently, we were wrong about what is possible. The humans accelerated tungsten projectiles to 12% of light speed. At those velocities, even small masses carry tremendous energy." Dr. Kethmore's voice came through another channel. "Speaker Veltar, I need to speak with you immediately. We have completely misunderstood human technology." "Explain," said Veltar. "We assumed their kinetic weapons were primitive because they do not use energy manipulation. But look at these readings. Their magnetic accelerators are more precise than our finest plasma cannons. Their targeting computers can coordinate attacks across millions of kilometers with microsecond timing. This is not primitive technology. This is specialized technology." Meanwhile, 3 star systems away, Admiral Park was learning just how much attention his victory had attracted. The human fleet was pursuing the remaining Vorthak ships toward the Galactic Rim, but every few hours brought new communication requests from alien governments. "Sir," reported Captain Kim, "we have 17 more requests for interviews from galactic news networks. The Rigel Defense Force wants technical specifications for our weapons, and the Helix Nebula Council is asking if we would consider a defense contract." Park smiled grimly. "Tell the news networks we are busy. Tell the Rigel fleet that our weapon specifications are classified. And tell the Helix Council we will discuss contracts after we finish dealing with the Vorthak." Lieutenant Lee looked up from his weapons console. "Admiral, we are approaching the Kepler system. Sensors show 8 bioships trying to regroup near the old defense stations." "Perfect," said Park. "Time to show them that running will not save them." The Battle of Kepler was different from Sigma Draconis. The Vorthak had learned to fear human weapons, so they tried new tactics. They spread out, making themselves harder to target. They used the destroyed defense stations as shields. They even tried to surrender, but Admiral Park was not interested in surrender. The Vorthak had killed billions of innocent people. They had destroyed entire civilizations. They deserved no mercy. All ships, attack Formation Delta, he ordered. Show them what happens to species that threaten galactic peace. The human fleet split into hunting packs. Each group targeted a different bioship, coordinating their attacks through quantum communication systems. The Vorthak tried to hide behind the wreckage of Kepler's defenses, but human weapons could thread a needle at 1,000,000 kilometers. Sol's Fire demonstrated this by firing a tungsten penetrator between two broken space stations to hit a bioship, hiding behind them. The projectile passed within meters of the station hulls without touching them, then punched through the bioship's core. Busan Thunder used a gravity-assisted shot, firing her projectile past the system's star. The star's gravity bent the projectile's path, sending it around to hit a bioship from an impossible angle. But the most impressive display came from Terra's Wrath herself. Lieutenant Lee had developed a new type of ammunition, a shell that split into multiple warheads during flight. Each warhead targeted a different part of the same bioship, hitting simultaneously from multiple directions. The bioship Death Swarm tried to adapt to the incoming attack, but there were too many impacts happening at once. Its nervous system overloaded trying to process damage from 12 different locations. The ship convulsed, then went dark as its biosystems shut down. Within 2 hours, all 8 bioships at Kepler were destroyed. The human fleet had not lost a single vessel. They had not even taken significant damage. Commander Yoon intercepted Vorthak communications during the battle. The alien transmissions showed panic, confusion, and something the Vorthak had never felt before: despair. "They are calling us the Metal Death," she reported. "Their command structure is breaking down. Some bioships are refusing orders to engage us." "Good," said Park. "Fear is a weapon too. Let them be afraid." Back on the Council world, Ambassador Choi was receiving a very different reception than he had gotten a week ago. The same delegates who had laughed at human offers of help were now practically begging for protection. "Ambassador," said Admiral Zosith of the Rigel fleet, "my government would like to purchase human weapons for our defense forces. We can offer rare minerals, advanced computer systems, anything you need." Choi smiled politely. "Human weapons require human training. We would be happy to discuss joint defense agreements instead." Dr. Kethmore approached with a tablet full of technical questions. "Ambassador, our scientists need to understand how your magnetic accelerators work. The precision required to hit targets at such extreme ranges should be impossible." "Nothing is impossible," Choi replied. "You just need to understand the physics involved." "But how do you coordinate attacks across such vast distances?" "Quantum communication should have too much lag for real-time targeting. Our computers predict enemy movements," explained Choi. "We do not target where the enemy is, we target where they will be. Human tactical doctrine has always emphasized prediction over reaction." Speaker Veltar called an emergency council session. The Great Hall was packed with representatives desperate to understand how the galaxy had changed overnight. "The Vorthak threat has been eliminated," Veltar announced. "Human forces have destroyed or scattered their entire fleet. For the first time in 3 years, our worlds are safe." Cheers erupted from the assembled delegates, but Veltar raised his crystal hand for silence. "However, this victory raises important questions about galactic defense. If the Vorthak could penetrate our energy-based defenses so easily, what other threats might we face? How do we protect ourselves against enemies we cannot even imagine?" The answer came from the human section. Ambassador Choi stood slowly, his words carrying across the silent hall. "You protect yourselves by learning new ways to fight. Energy weapons are excellent tools, but they are not the only tools. Kinetic weapons, chemical explosives, biological agents, cyber warfare. There are many forms of conflict that your civilizations have never explored." "Are you suggesting we abandon our current military doctrine?" asked General Thixara. "I am suggesting you expand it," said Choi. "The universe is full of surprises. Species that use quantum manipulation, artificial intelligence that can rewrite matter at the atomic level, energy beings that exist in multiple dimensions. Energy shields will not protect you from everything." Dr. Kethmore leaned forward. "What do you propose?" Joint training programs, technology exchanges, combined fleet exercises. The galaxy needs to learn from each other, not just trade with each other. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some species wanted to buy human weapons, others wanted to hire human mercenaries. A few suggested that humans were too dangerous to trust with galactic security. But in the end, fear of the unknown won over fear of humanity. The Council voted to establish the Galactic Defense Initiative, a combined military force that would learn from human tactical doctrine while maintaining the best of alien technology. 3 days later, Admiral Park received new orders. The Terran Federation was officially joining the Galactic Defense Initiative as senior partners. Human officers would train alien crews. Human weapons would be integrated with alien ships. Human tactical doctrine would become the new standard for galactic defense. Standing on the bridge of Terra's Wrath, Park looked out at the stars and felt a strange mix of pride and responsibility. Humanity had proven its worth in battle, but now came the harder task, proving they could be trusted with power. "Captain Kim," he said, "set course for the Council world. We have work to do." "What kind of work, sir?" Park smiled. "The kind humans do best, teaching others to fight smarter, not harder." 6 months after the Battle of Sigma Draconis, the galaxy had changed completely. The Great Council chamber was still the same crystal dome, but the mood inside was different. Where once there had been fear and desperation, now there was hope and confidence. Admiral Park stood at the center of the hall, wearing a new uniform that combined human military traditions with galactic symbols of honor. His weathered face showed the satisfaction of a job well done. Around him, delegates from 1,000 worlds listened with respect that had been earned through battle. "Honored delegates," Park began. "6 months ago, you asked how humanity defeated an unbeatable enemy. Today I can give you the complete answer." The main display showed images from the Vorthak campaign. Burning bioships, human vessels dancing through space like deadly angels. The moment when Prime Devourer vanished in antimatter fire. The Vorthak were not unbeatable, Park continued. They were simply fighting an enemy that followed their rules. We won because we never learned their rules in the first place. Speaker Veltar gestured for attention. "Admiral Park, the Council would like to understand your tactical doctrine. How can we apply human methods to galactic defense?" Captain Kim, now promoted to Admiral Kim, stepped forward. She had been working with alien military officers for months, teaching them human tactics. "The key is thinking in 3 dimensions plus time," she explained. "Most galactic warfare happens in 2 dimensions. Ships line up and shoot at each other until one side wins. Humans fight in full 3-dimensional space while predicting enemy movements through time." She activated the holographic display, showing a typical galactic battle formation. Ships arranged in neat lines, firing energy weapons at similar formations. "This is how the galaxy has fought for 1,000 years, Kim continued. "It works against enemies who follow the same rules. But what happens when your enemy does not follow any rules?" The display changed to show human tactical formations. Ships moved in complex patterns, appearing and disappearing, striking from unexpected angles. "We call this swarm tactics," explained Kim. "Each ship operates independently but coordinates with all others. No central formation to destroy, no predictable patterns to counter. The enemy cannot adapt because there is nothing consistent to adapt to." Lieutenant Lee, now Commander Lee, took over the technical briefing. "Human weapons solve the adaptation problem through physics. Bioarmor can learn to absorb energy, but it cannot learn to ignore kinetic force. A piece of metal moving at light. Speed carries the same energy whether the target expects it or not." Dr. Kethmore, who had become humanity's biggest advocate among galactic scientists, nodded approvingly. "We have tested this principle extensively. Kinetic weapons are not affected by adaptive defenses, energy shields, or quantum manipulation. They work through basic physics that cannot be changed." The presentation continued with demonstrations of human technology integrated into alien ships. Galactic energy weapons powered by human fusion reactors. Alien shield generators protecting. Human kinetic launchers. The best of both worlds working together. But the real surprise came when Commander Yoon, now Director Yoon of the Galactic Intelligence Service, revealed what human scouts had discovered beyond the galaxy's edge. "The Vorthak were not the only threat out there," she announced. "Our deep space reconnaissance has identified at least 12 other hostile species moving toward galactic space. Some use quantum manipulation to phase between dimensions. Others employ artificial intelligence that can rewrite matter at the atomic level. One species appears to be made of pure energy." The chamber fell silent. The delegates had barely recovered from the Vorthak invasion, and now they learned that worse enemies were coming. However, Yoon continued with a slight smile, "We are ready for them." She activated a new display showing the Galactic Defense Fleet, a combined force of human and alien vessels that had been training together for months. Each ship carried both kinetic and energy weapons. Each crew included humans and aliens working as integrated teams. "We have learned that diversity is strength," explained Yoon. "Human kinetic weapons can destroy targets that resist energy attacks. Alien energy shields can stop projectiles that would penetrate physical armor. Together we can handle threats that would defeat either of us alone." Ambassador Choi stood to address the chamber. Over the past months, he had become one of the most respected voices in galactic politics. "The Terran Federation offers a new kind of alliance," he said. "Not conquest, not domination, but partnership. We share our military knowledge in exchange for access to galactic science and culture. Together, we become stronger than any single species could be alone." The vote was unanimous. The Galactic Defense Treaty established humanity as the galaxy's military specialists while confirming alien species as leaders in science, technology, and diplomacy. Earth would train galactic officers in combat tactics. Alien worlds would share advanced technology with human engineers. 1 year later, Admiral Park stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Defense Station orbiting Earth. Through the fast windows, he could see human and alien ships training together in combined exercises. Zephyrian insect pilots learning human fighter tactics. Human gunners working with crystalline targeting computers. Rigel engineering teams upgrading human weapons with quantum targeting systems. Captain Kim, now Admiral Kim, and commander of the 3rd Galactic Defense Fleet joined him at the window. "Hard to believe it has only been a year," she said. "Sometimes the galaxy changes quickly," Park replied. "The important thing is that we were ready when it needed us." "Do you think we made the right choice? Sharing our military secrets with alien species?" Park watched a mixed squadron of human and alien fighters practice attack formations. The cooperation was flawless, each species contributing their strengths while covering others' weaknesses. "Kim, do you remember what I told you before the first battle? About humans not starting fights? You said we finished them?" "Exactly. But there is more to it than that. Humans do not fight to conquer. We fight to protect. Now we have an entire galaxy to protect." Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Commander Lee's voice came over the station's communication system. "All senior officers to the command center. We have contact with an unknown fleet approaching from the galactic rim." Park and Kim rushed to the command center, where displays showed long-range sensor readings. A fleet of ships was approaching, ships that looked like nothing in any database. "Configuration unknown," reported the sensor operator. "Energy signatures unlike anything we have seen. They are not responding to communication attempts." Director Yoon studied the tactical displays. "Size and formation suggest hostile intent. They are moving toward the core worlds in attack formation." Park nodded grimly. "Alert all defense fleets. This is what we trained for." Within hours, the Galactic Defense Fleet was mobilizing. Human ships with their kinetic weapons, alien vessels with their energy systems, crews that had trained together for months, ready to face whatever new threat the universe could throw at them. Admiral Kim took command of the forward elements, a mixed force of the best ships the galaxy could produce. Admiral Park remained at the defense station coordinating overall strategy. "Fleet reports ready," Kim transmitted from her flagship. "Combined tactics are in effect. All crews know their roles." "Good," Park replied. "Remember, we are not just defending Earth or any single world. We are defending the idea that different species can work together in peace." The unknown fleet reached the edge of galactic space, and first contact began. It would be the first test of the new alliance, humans and aliens fighting together against a common enemy. But that is a story for another day. As Park watched the defense fleets move into position, he felt a deep satisfaction. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as protectors. They had shared their gift for warfare with species that had shared their gifts for science and culture. The galaxy was no longer a collection of separate civilizations hiding behind energy shields. It had become something new, a community defended by the combined strength of all its members. And somewhere in space, moving toward an unknown enemy, Admiral Kim smiled as she gave the order that would echo across the stars. All ships, battle stations. Today we show the universe what unity looks like. The human age of galactic protection had truly begun. The end author's note. This story explores themes of cooperation, tactical innovation, and the idea that apparent weaknesses can become unexpected strengths. The humans. Fuck. Yeah. Genre celebrates human ingenuity and determination. But this story adds the message that our greatest strength might be our ability to work with others rather than dominate them.